Today we're going to talk with Isabel Frassato. Isabel is our first class of 2016 graduate that we're interviewing, and literally has graduated this week from Belmont and is headed into the workforce. And so thank you, Isabel, for taking time to be with us. And I would like to start with you just sharing a little bit about your high school experience, what you were involved in, and what MHS was like when you were here.
Okay, perfect. So I played golf. I was on the golf team all 4 years of high school. I also was in Spanish club all 4 years. So like those are like probably the most consistent two things that I was involved in. And I was involved in like a lot of different things throughout the years. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and the clubs that I like gave my time to was more of like an option of like exploring those paths. And I really figured out like some things that I was interested in and not interested in through doing so. So I was involved in FCCLA like freshman and sophomore year, because I really thought I wanted to be a teacher, maybe a high school teacher. I really liked history. So I was like, that could be a field or a path that I go into. So I explored that option a little bit. And then I realized I really didn't like kids very much, which is something that you really have to do. Like I love kids, but I like don't want to be with them 24/7. It's just not necessarily my personality. So I quickly got out of that path. I actually took like one of my first like business classes that I guess wasn't necessarily required with Miss Hudgens. I took accounting, and I realized you could get credit through John A. Logan for that. And I was like, oh, that's a cool opportunity. Like I'll do that. And I really liked accounting, and I was kind of good at it. I was like, oh, okay, like that's cool. And so senior year I did FBLA. So I wasn't like super involved in FBLA all 4 years, like a lot of different business students were, but it was more because I just didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I was also really involved in Tri High Y. I don't know if that's still around.
It is, yep.
Yeah, it's a great program. Peter Murphy was there. She's not there anymore, but she was
God.
so funny. I loved her.
Uh-huh.
And I was involved in the CEO program, and I don't know if y'all still do that.
We don't have that anymore, which I think is unfortunate.
I really think that's unfortunate. I was actually talking to one of my mentors who was in charge of it, Brandy Bradley, about how much that like impacted my experiences, and like some of the references I still use today I like got through that program. So I kind of think that's a little sad, but yeah.
I agree. Well, so once you left Marion, I kind of already spilled the beans that you went to Belmont.
Yeah.
But would you like to share a little bit about your studies at Belmont, what you did while you were there? Because I feel like that had a lot to do with the career path that you're
for
taking.
sure. So I kind of knew I loved Nashville like growing up, and I kind of knew I wanted to go to school in Nashville. I visited Belmont, I think as a sophomore in college. It was my very first college visit I went on, and it kind of set the standard pretty high for colleges. It's a really pretty campus. So like from an outsider looking in, Belmont's really pretty. And so that really like drew me in to it. And so I had a few like different offers for like golf and things like that. So I didn't like commit. I have a hard time like committing to things. So I didn't commit until like basically decision day. Like you had to like say where you were going. But I ended up in Nashville at Belmont. I went in as an accounting major, but I quickly changed that. So I was a sophomore, and I had taken two of so the good thing about John A. Logan and Marion, I will say, is you get a lot of credits coming in. So like coming in, I was already a sophomore. And so I was quickly put in like the upper level classes as a sophomore in college. I had finished basically all of the requirements for undergrad that every Belmont student needed. And so I quickly jumped into those like upper level accounting classes. And I was literally sitting with one of my friends who's a few years older, and she was graduating and I was a sophomore. And I was like, this is so weird. And I quickly realized just accounting was not for me. I was good at it, but I didn't think I could do it for my whole life. And so sophomore year was like a big area of growth. I like found who I was as a person. I didn't necessarily find what I wanted to do. I knew I still wanted to do something in the business realm. So I changed my major just to business administration and took some marketing classes and took some management classes. And at the same time, I was really growing in my sorority, which is something in high school I never thought that I would do. I never in a million years thought I would join a sorority, let alone like help lead one. and I was the vice president of finance that year. So I had a lot of accounting and a lot of finance. And I was like, I need a break. So I switched to business administration, and that led me to like what I wanted to do. One of my so I was a sophomore, and one of my friends was a junior, and she was a music business major. And she's like, come to this like career fair with me, like just see what it's about. Maybe you'll find an internship. Maybe there won't be a music company. You'll find something else. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I met like an artist management company, and that was my first internship. So before I even got involved in the music industry, like added as a major or minor or anything, I already had an internship, so I had a leg up. And so that was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I ended up adding music business on as a minor, like kind of as a fluke. A lot of people come to Belmont and end up like taking it away or adding it on, and I did just that. And I was like, I'm never going to do music. I'm never going to do the entertainment industry. Like, I'm just going to do business. Well, I was a little wrong. So I worked my first internship was with an artist management company here in town that have some big names on their roster. It's called Sandbox Entertainment. They manage Casey Musgraves, Little Big Town, Dan and Shay, Devin Dawson, Midland. So they've got a pretty cool roster, and I got to do some really fun things while I was there. I did some tour marketing and stuff like that. And I found out like quickly what I didn't want to do and like some avenues that I like could pursue in the future. So that was fun. And I added a music business minor on that semester. And so that was a really great experience. From there, I was elected as president of my sorority, and that took up a ton of my time. I managed a sorority of 200 women, and it was like running a small business. My stepfather is a business owner in town, and he was like, you deal with more than I do, and I have, employees that I pay. And so it's like very much like running a business, but I figured out that I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed like coming up with different ways how we could grow, different marketing tactics. Like there's just so many things that you don't realize that you can grow out of that realm. So that was a lot of fun. And then I stepped back from that and got another internship at CMA, which is what I did this semester. And it was more accounting and finance based again. And I just kind of showed me that I didn't want to do that again. But it was, I worked in the operations department. So I also got to touch that, and I found out that I really liked that. And I just made a lot of connections while I was there. Someone gave me a card and was like, if you're looking for a job in a few years, like here's what I have. And so I really found out that through all my experiences, I don't necessarily want to work in the music industry, but I would love to if I like live in Nashville, and I have a lot of connections now. And I definitely want to work more on like the strategy side of how to promote people, how to make people bigger, or that for a company. I would also love to do that on a company level. So yeah.
I think your internship experiences are so valuable. And the students that have talked about internships have said the same thing. Like they either sharpen your skills and kind of continue to fan the flames of your passion that you already have for something, or they help you confirm like this is not the specific industry I want to be in, or maybe even I like this industry but not necessarily this company. And it really helps you kind of give you direction. So
yeah, for sure. I learned so much. I met so many people. I just think it's super important to network, especially in the music industry and the entertainment industry. You have to network. That's how people know your names. Always ask them for a business card if you meet someone, and you even like just an inkling think that you could be interested in whatever they do or their company. Like for instance, I love CMA. Did I absolutely love the internship and what I did at CMA at the time? No, but I know now like I have so many connections there that if I needed a job in the future, they're definitely one of the first places I would look. So that was really good. And always send thank you notes to literally, if they do anything for you at all, send them a thank you note. I definitely feel like that and like getting internships set me apart. Not like a thank you email, like actually put a stamp on it and put it in the mail.
Those handwritten notes do mean a lot to people. They really do. And they just kind of show that you took the time, you set aside some time to acknowledge. So I agree with you. I think that is very important. So The career, you've accepted a position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is not in the music industry,
It's
but
not.
would you like to share with my students what
Yeah.
you are going to be doing now that you've graduated?
Yeah. So I feel like in high school, I really thought that fraternity and sorority life was all about partying, which it can be if that's what you make it of it. But I went to a very like private school, more so than I think people realize in a lot of aspects in their policies and everything. And so they're very much about like personal development and giving back to the community that you're in. And so I definitely think even if you go to a bigger state school, you can still make those opportunities in that. I know for sure, like in most Panhellenic sororities and IFC fraternities and NPHC organizations, they have those realms. And so that's what I did. I got very involved in it, and it led me to a job. So I went through an interview process to become a leadership consultant. And I knew even if I didn't get this job, it was the best interview experience I've ever had. So basically, I applied online. I had to make a video, and then I had like basically a platform like this, like a Zoom interview. And then after that, 20 women were flown to Indianapolis, where my sorority headquarters are, and you have to do presentations on how to grow the aspect of the sorority, and like they give you different prompts, and then you're having in-person interviews, and it's like a full weekend thing, and it's
Wow.
very like draining and time consuming, but you learn so much and you gain so many skills that I'm like very thankful for. And so I did that in January. I went to the last round in January, and I was offered a job at the end of January. And so I'm very thankful that I already have a job going in next year. And so I'll be traveling the country, visiting different chapters, and basically seeing like where they need help or where they're like thriving, and basically report back. I will also help them in any ways that they need help. And then also like extending, we have a couple extension projects of schools that are getting chapters that I'm involved in. So it'll be a very fun time.
Oh yeah, for sure. So will you be based out of Indianapolis, or where will be your home base?
So kind of. So I'll be in Indianapolis, I'll be in Indianapolis all of July. And then I'll be traveling on the road from the end of July until October. And I'll be back in Indianapolis. And then I'll be traveling from middle of October to Thanksgiving, and I'll get to come home for Thanksgiving. And then I'll be in Indianapolis for a few more weeks, and then I'll be home for like the whole month of December, and then I'll be traveling basically again, and then I'll be home. So it's like I don't really have a home base, but if I had to consider a home base, I guess it would either be like home or Indianapolis.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds like that's going to be very fun to kind of check in on something that you were very passionate about. You're getting to really stay connected with it,
Mm-hmm.
and get to see different parts of the country too. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure
for
you'll be
sure.
working, but nonetheless, hopefully there'll be some opportunities
Yeah.
for you to explore some areas while you're visiting.
Yeah. I like wrote down a list of things I wanted like out of a job junior year, and like things I wanted to be able to do, especially while I'm like younger. And traveling is like one of the things I'm really passionate about. And so like this is something that allows me to travel. Um, and so I'm really excited about that. And I also just love like leadership, and I love like helping build people up. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. And then just like strategy, because eventually I want to get my MBA in strategy and do that for a company or something in that realm and be able to travel. So it's just helping acquire my skill set a little bit further.
I think that your point about taking time to write down what's important to you in your career is such
Mm-hmm.
a good idea. Because again, I might say, oh, I want to be an accountant, or I want to be, in personal finance, or I want to be in marketing or management, but that's still so broad. And
Yeah.
so if you can narrow your focus in and think about what you really love, there's nothing wrong with pursuing avenues that are going to pair you up best
Yeah.
with what you love. You're going to perform better. You're going to enjoy your work more, and your employer is going to benefit from that too. So I think
Right.
great idea to be mindful about what you're looking for and what you want out of life, and then be proactive about getting that.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I definitely, after I made that list, I tried to like Google like companies that like meet up with that and things like that. So, I mean, basically like my dream job would be working for an airline company, because I would get to travel. I wouldn't really have to pay for plane tickets when I wanted to travel on leisure. And I get to work on that like strategy side of things. So like, just like, yeah, writing down what you want and then Googling like places that give you that, I think is super important, and coming up with a list. So then when you are ready to get a job, I'm thankful that like I know when my end date of this job is and I know what my next step is. But when I'm in my next step in grad school, I can be proactive about looking for openings and things like that that match up with what I want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which really is kind of leading into our final discussion point, is advice that you would have for students who are juniors and seniors in high school. And really, we've kind of talked about goal setting, or, like being mindful.
Mhm.
But do you have any other things that you think are important for students to think about, or to know as they approach high school graduation?
Yeah. I guess this is more for like juniors, I would say, but really take advantage of those John A. Logan classes that I don't know if they're still free, but even if they're not, they can't be super expensive. Literally all of my John A. Logan credits transferred to something at Belmont that I didn't have to take. But when I do say that, take them seriously, because they stay on your transcript. Like, they're still on my transcript. They affect me getting into grad school. So like, definitely take advantage. Like, I have a sister at the high school, and I'm like, you need to take every class you possibly can through John A. Logan. It will save you or your parents a ton of money and time in the long run. So they may not be the most fun things, they may be challenging, but I definitely think taking advantage of that is super important. Like I said, writing thank you notes for everything. And just be like really kind to your mentors that you have now and the people you look up to, because literally one of my references from high school was one of my references for the job I got. So those connections you make at home now are still important 4, 5, 6 years down the line. And definitely take the time to thank them for it. Just be like, I would happen to be really close with the person that wrote me a reference, so I didn't necessarily give them a thank you card, but I like saw them when I was home after I got the job and thanked them, and we had a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not that close, make sure you still write them a thank you note. And also, when you go to college, just be open to everything and like figure out what you want for yourself. Don't let people necessarily sway you in the direction that you want to go, because at the end of the day, it's your life, and you have to be happy with what you're going to do for the rest of it. Because yeah, I mean, you have to be happy with what you do for a career. And I just know that some of the paths I could have gone down, I would probably not be happy doing those things. So
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one can be, good at things or be successful, but I feel like the success will be magnified if it's something that they truly enjoy doing. It's going to be it's going to be a more rewarding type of success too. So
yeah, it doesn't feel like work if you enjoy it, from what I've because a lot of the things I've done, especially for my sorority, have been hard and they've been challenging, and they've kept me from maybe doing some fun things that I would have liked to have done, but I still enjoy it. And I don't feel like you work if you enjoy it. So
yeah.
I think that's something to keep in mind when you're figuring out what you want to do.
That's very true. Very true. Wise words.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time to do this. Congratulations again. This is your actual graduation week, I believe, right? As far as you're finished with courses this week and everything.
Yeah, I'm done. My final grades are in. Graduation was supposed to be Saturday, but it's not happening, but we're still going to celebrate anyways. And it'll be a great time.
Well, you be safe, and I wish you the very best in your new career, and hopefully on one of those stays when you're back in Marion, you can come in and talk to my students in person. I think
I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.